All right, welcome to Three Boys, One Couch, where we get together and we do a commentary on our favorite movies. Not even our favorite movies, just a movie. I'm excited about this one. It's maybe not my favorite, but it's fun.
Yeah, I'm super hyped after that song.
This has got to be our best pick for opening music,
Yeah,
I think.
No way Sicario's better.
Sicario does have a really good one.
Sicario's is just like, I just love how it is not the tone of anything in that film.
Yeah, that's why I love
You're
it.
like, yay!
Yeah, it's so good.
Like, that was probably the most excitement in that whole film right there in your voice.
But we're going to do a commentary on Blade Runner, the final cut. Make sure if you're watching this along with us that you do the final cut, because there are multiple versions of this. There's like the original release, there's a director's cut, and then there's this final cut, which is more the director's cut than the actual director's cut, apparently. This is the one that Ridley Scott refers to as like, this is his true vision for the film.
As of now, it is available on Netflix.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was done in 2007. It's like the 25th anniversary of the original release. So that's what we're going to watch, and we're going to start it in 3, 2, 1.
You know, it's funny that it's the final cut. Like, this is like the quintessential viewing experience, because I honestly think there's things that need to get cut from this version.
Yeah, I guess I don't know enough about the other ones to make an informed decision on that.
Yeah, I've only ever seen this one. So.
Yeah, I don't either. It's just there are certain shots that don't feel like they belong. They feel like if it went to theaters, that would be the first thing a studio exec would be like, that needs to get cut. That doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't flow very well. And I think even like as a general audience, that would be you'll probably see those scenes and be like, I don't understand what that was. It doesn't fit into the tone. It doesn't expand the plot. They're very, very strange. But we'll point them out when they come up.
Right, and because we're watching this on Blu-ray, so we'll let you know like when it does like the actual opening scene, because we're just going to the opening credits right now. That way we're all lined up for the viewer. But yeah, so I actually think this is such kind of like a throwback to older movies where they just have the opening credits and there's not something else going on along with it.
Well, it's actually not in terms of film history, it's not unusual to have something going on behind the opening credits. Just the fact that the credits at the beginning are at the beginning. A lot of films don't do that anymore.
I thought Star Wars was the first one to not do it.
I don't know if it was.
Yeah, it was a huge deal.
Yeah, because all the writers and everyone got really mad because they're like, you have to put us at the beginning, and the actors were like, I don't know how involved the actors were, but I know that there was a big problem with like the producers and writers being like, you have to say who is involved in the film at the beginning. You can't just open it up that way. And George Lucas was like, it ruins the whole film if I do that. Like, it has to start with the crawl. Yeah,
I do think he's right. That was such a monumental moment in cinema history that no one was expecting it, and just you can also you can feel that moment regardless.
So now we're opening up onto the your kind of crawl, kind of explaining what the replicants are and what's going on in this story.
Your
the nexus and everything.
Exposition.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad.
No, I think if you have a universe like this, you kind of have to establish like what we're getting into here.
It's just being thrown in,
I don't know. I feel like honestly, like I think you can say all of this in more subtle ways, that you don't need this in order to. It only depends on if you're the whole point of your film is about the story. If the whole point of your film is the story, and you want people to understand it, and that you don't necessarily need them to get the symbols and the subtext, then you put things like this. I think it cheapens a film, and it says like, we're not that intelligent that we're trying to make anything other than what you see on the screen. But he does try to make something more out of it, which is why I find this kind of useless.
I think it depends if you want Harrison Ford to begrudgingly tell you about the uprise of the Nexus 6 models,
which
or if you want to read it.
Yeah, I'd rather read it. So it starts off in November 2019. Not sure if you guys remember what you were doing in November of 2019, but I went to a monster truck rally that month.
Man, I have no idea what I was doing.
It was super fun.
2019.
I remember hearing about, well, maybe not November, but it was about that time starting to hear about coronavirus.
Wouldn't that be
it?
It
was.
Wow,
it was right around then, yeah.
Well, this is a much more bright future than what we currently live in. The November 2019 of Blade Runner is picturesque compared to what we're going through now.
I do love this shot. So I'm not a huge fan of this film because I don't find that his camera angles are all that engaging, but I do love this. We're just setting up everything. I love the photo of the eye right there, and we're just getting a sense of like how dark and how smoggy everything is. Like it's a part of the landscape that we're just burning, something fuel garbage, refuse.
Oh, you see all
who
like the
knows?
flame exhaust just popping up into the air. Yeah.
Mhm. And then
I guess-
reflected in the eye.
A lot of this is just miniatures and then matte paintings in the back, which I think I love. Anytime you can put those paintings in the frame, I think they look great.
Yeah.
It's such a style of this time that I think looks awesome, and it's just kind of now it's so easy to just make it CGI that you don't really need to have an artist come in and like put that sort of effort in. You have a different like visual artist do a different thing. So
Yeah, and that's actually what David Lowery said about when he was doing The Green Knight. He was a fan of those matte paintings, and there are a few scenes that they actually, like when they were at the round table, they do have like extras painted in around the outside.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. And you wouldn't recognize because everything's just so dark and shaded.
Do you want to put the subtitles on, dude?
Oh yeah.
That dude doesn't have a chin. Neither do I, man. It's okay. So I grow a beard, though. You should do the same thing.
I love how everyone just like everything's just smoking. You know.
Press triangle.
I hate PlayStation. I have no idea how to work it.
Oh.
Yeah, they're different each time.
I know exactly how to do this.
Oh wait, shit. It's square. Why is it square?
We should have been more prepared for this one. Sorry. I always turn it off, even though I know you guys are coming over. I'm sorry.
Okay, there we go. It's hard to hear all of your great opinions over the film. I love how this is, you know, they're artificial intelligence, right? You would think that it would be some other baseline than an interrogation. Like, interrogations themselves are faulty because they're being performed by humans. You know, everyone loves to talk about how you can read body language. That's not true. There's a large body of evidence that says that when someone is trying to lie, you will pick up on the wrong markers for whether they're lying or not. It's a very terrible system for determining truth. And so the fact that they're doing that with something that is like generally smarter than us, like they have more data built into them. I don't understand why you go with something like this, you know?
It's discrimination, Calvin. It's literally all this. It's because like they bring up later, like, have you ever taken a test or whatever? And it doesn't matter what they say or what they do. It's like, okay, we're going to decide when you die.
So this is the Voight-Kampff test, is what they call it, and it's based off of the Turing test, which is trying to determine if whatever you're speaking to, is it machine or is it human? It's basically a test to kind of tell
the
those two apart.
CAPTCHA on the internet.
So
Click.
Yeah.
They're click where there are light posts in this picture.
Exactly. That's essentially what this is. It's a CAPTCHA comment that you have to fill out. But I think it's interesting because that's like, you know, what is it? There was a movie that was about Turing that came out not too long ago, Imitation Game. So it's kind of based on that, like the replicants that's trying to test if they are real life or if they're an imitation of life as a replicant. So I think it's interesting.
I think it is interesting.
You don't like
I
the
just
test,
think-
but I think it fits in this film well.
I think they've executed it in a way that isn't true to the Turing test. Like you can that thing can absolutely pass the Turing test, but that doesn't mean that it is or isn't a replicant. That's my problem with it.
So I had this conversation with my dad. Like he has this. He's like, technology's advanced so much in your lifetime and all this stuff. He's like, I would have never seen this coming. I'm like, every movie from when you were younger has us having flying cars and all this crazy shit by now, and you're surprised by cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're way behind schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of dads, this is one that my dad liked to watch.
My dad loves this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. This and Fifth Element are two of his.
Oh my God, my dad loves Fifth Element.
That's funny. That's also one of my dad's favorites.
Our dad should hang out and start a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
3 dads, 1 couch, right?
yeah. 3 dads, 3 boys, 1 couch.
Oh man.
We've just started our own subcategory.
But I remember watching this and being pretty young, because I also watched like Matrix not long after it came out. When that came out, I was like 8, and I remember when it came out on VHS and my dad bought it. He like had me and my brother sit down and watch it with him, That's incredibly violent, and this has a fair amount of violence in it too. Yeah, I remember being like 9 watching this.
Yep.
I think this is so weird how they treat language in this film. You know, everyone's shoved into the same sector. Like, I'd imagine that at this point, some sort of common language would have come about.
Yeah,
'Cause
they'd
you
be
have-
speaking Gubak.
Yeah.
Like, I like the fact that we've kind of taken that melting pot to the extreme. Everybody that was left behind on Earth is basically congregated in these dystopian metropolises.
It's crazy
But-
because everybody is white.
I mean, that dude's Japanese.
I think you've.
Like 95% of the people in this movie are white people.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, if you look at the extras, that's true. But Edward James Olmos is some type of Hispanic. Oh God, that sounds so dumb to say out loud.
I think it's Latinx is the term now.
I don't think that most like people care that that's like they'd prefer to be called by where they're originally from. His accent, I think, sounds like he's certainly wasn't born here, so I'm sure he would like to be referred to as that country of origin.
Yeah.
I love that he's still just eating his ramen.
Like, I can understand why this film was good for its age, but that camera that was sweeping, like to be in the perspective of the car, it just feels very manufactured. It's like this shot right here is very smooth. It's not all that stylish. It's like, I want the camera as slow as possible so you can see all of the details of my world.
I think you could pull back a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little,
Expose
especially
more of the
inside the
downtown.
car.
Yeah.
It's a little funky.
Yeah.
So as they pull up to this building, I don't know if you guys noticed, there's all like this kind of product placement throughout this film on these like kind of holographic screens. There's one for Pan Am,
Yeah,
which
I
is
saw
like
that.
no longer an airline anymore. There's one for Atari, which is no longer a game system anymore. There's a couple like that.
And a new one, there's Sony.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is just Sony's the studio on it, but
Yeah.
and I like that they definitely got their product placement in. But there's like a theory or a curse people think, because there's a couple advertisements in this film, and they all ended up being companies that either lost money or had some kind of like bad financial event occur shortly after Blade Runner came out.
Yeah.
Or they went out of business. So it's just kind of funny to
I mean,
kind of spot these things throughout it. I
I'd
always keep
imagine
my
like
eye out.
yeah, but especially in regards to electronics, I don't think that you could have a single one of those companies at the time and have them continue now. You know, because I don't think even Apple, like in '82, well, and this probably would have shot in '80 or '81. I don't think they were at that point where they were good enough that you would put them as a product placement. You know, unless they retroactively put all that stuff back when 2007.
But then you have like Cuisinart is one of the advertisements in this.
Oh,
That's
is it?
that they make appliances. They make like kitchen appliances.
Yeah.
But
I have some.
they went out of business, but they got bought out because they were bankrupt. So that's another one they went through some financial struggle. But yeah, it's just fun to find those things in the background, I think.
I do wish that they explained the Blade Runner dynamic a little bit more. You know, they don't. They just kind of talk about them retiring replicants. They don't. It seems like they're more or less outlaws, but it's just kind of hinted at, and it's only in very small parts. We don't understand how they actually fit into society.
Yeah, he's basically like Josh Brolin in Sicario.
Yeah, like that type of like
Same kind of
shadow
role,
like
yeah.
warrior, but like
Just a consultant kind of comes in and cleans up. Yeah.
yeah, but it's
But
strange.
it's like Harrison Ford doesn't want to do this, but he has to, and there's not really a tell of why.
Yeah, but like even even if it wasn't Harrison Ford and it was some other Blade Runner, like what is a Blade Runner's function in society outside of just replicant? Like they don't seem to be like they're respected, but they're hunting down replicants, which nobody respects. So I don't understand necessarily what a Blade Runner is. And I don't think they say anything about him being a Blade Runner until like the second half of the film.
Yeah, like are they like conscripted by the government to do this? Are they just is some of you get volunteered to do? Does some of you volunteer?
I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, or is it just a job you apply for? Yeah, I guess.
Are they mercenaries?
Cool. Yeah.
Like, are they a part of the police force and they're just contracted?
Right. I guess I just assume he's a a police officer of some kind. Like,
I don't think he is.
but I guess that's what I'm saying
Yeah.
is I just assume that because I guess it's not like really told to you.
Yeah, and introducing all of the replicants here is... Again, we don't go into enough of replicant history that we really understand the dynamic here either.
This dude's awesome.
Yeah, there you go, Roy Batty.
Yeah. Probably the leader. Yeah, well, you find that out.
Yeah, I love how it's just assumed just because, like he's a combat model, combat model. Like it's not it, and it's basically gendered in that sense, you know, because there's 4 of them, right? Yeah, so 2 of them are women, so that leaves only 2 other ones, and
So
they just don't like the dude with the mustache because he doesn't seem to project that same type of confidence.
So
or
there's
mystique.
5 actually because one of them goes for Terrell and he gets away or he's killed.
Is
But I
there?
guess in the original cut of this, they say that 6 replicants got on the ship and came back to Earth, and they had to they're like, oh, that's wrong because there's only 5 that appear in the film. So you get your group of 4, and then the one that kind of splintered off to do his own thing.
I don't
so
remember
it should be
the
5
fifth
total.
one. Well, what's the 5th one then?
He goes after Terrell on his own. I'm maybe skipping ahead,
But
but
I thought-
but
yeah.
but in this scene they fix that. They kind of go back and edit it to say that 5 replicants got on the ship.
Oh, was it 5? I thought there were 4. I thought they said there were only
Hey,
4.
Coca-Cola's still around.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently they had shortly after this came out, they changed to New Coke.
Oh, they changed the
Which
flavor.
was not very well received, and they had a huge financial loss.
That did really happen. Wow.
So that was like the Blade Runner curse affecting Coca-Cola.
There's that meme where it's like Coca-Cola keeps coming out with these new flavors, like the coffee Coca-Cola or whatever. It's like, just put cocaine in it or
Oh,
stop
yeah.
making it.
That's so gross.
Okay, so this right here, I hate. I don't understand this music. You know, we've established that this is like a neo-noir type film. It's supposed to be very dark and like I get like weird senses, but it's also it's almost like uplifting and like, oh, magical, like cool. It doesn't fit with the tone of what's happening right
I
now.
like the synth in it, like I do, but I do wish it was like very darker and like more like bassy almost.
I think it would
Mm-hmm.
it could fit in a different. I don't think it doesn't belong in this movie. I think it just doesn't fit in this scene.
Yeah,
It's more what I think of it.
And when we get into 2049, I'll bring that up because there is a very specific part where they use this refrain,
Yep.
and it fits in 2049, which is why I ultimately don't think that this is a very good movie. There are a lot of things that he just doesn't seem to understand like how to make things work. Like he just wants to make things stylish and make things new.
Yeah.
Like this is cool.
Her
Like,
eyes are not green.
That's right. Like all of this is very cool. I like how they've set everything up here as basically like Egyptian, like gods. Like that's what they are. Like they're creators of life and and those type of god symbols.
Well, and just even the pyramid architecture of the buildings that he goes into.
Yeah, it's
you
like
know,
Aztec
It totally
almost.
matches that. Yeah.
Yeah, meant to show the difference in especially social and in this case cultural or like what their agency, not agency, but their station in society is. They're significantly above everyone else,
Right.
in the city at least.
I like this dude a lot better than Jared Leto.
Yeah, because they sort of embody that it's kind of the same character between the two
Yeah.
films. Yeah.
Did we mention why it's called Voight-Kampff? Did you look up why it's Voight-Kampff?
I don't.
Did they
I
just
don't know.
make it up for this, or was it?
His glasses are sweet.
Yeah, I love how they're like actually like they look like uncut diamonds.
Yeah.
And almost as thick. I mean, I suppose they could be green. I love this. Okay, so this is one thing that I do like about this. How he says it's too bright in here, and he lowers the the shade so that light can't get in, which is something later in the film I'll
You
point out.
see a lot, yeah.
Yeah, there's no privacy in this world. The light is always constantly shining in and flashing in windows. It's almost like there's not allowed shades. It's very interesting. So this is
Unless you
another
have
thing.
money.
Yeah, exactly. It does, and again, it points to the difference in their social status of what they're doing here. The idea of creators being above, the riffraff below.
Now, what I found about the Voight comp test is it was created for this film. It's not a real test.
Mm.
But what I did find is that it is roughly based off the like your Turing test. So
That makes sense. I don't know why you wouldn't call it the Turing test then, because it's specifically meant to find out the difference in the whether something AI is human or not. I feel like there's less baggage there, and it's more obvious.
Yeah. I just think it sounds cooler. Say Voight comp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is more fun. I don't know. Turing is kind of fun.
Do you like the reflection in their eyes? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a really neat choice.
I like it a lot too.
I do though.
See it in the animals as well that are not actual animals.
Well, yeah, and she mentions earlier, like, do you
Yeah.
like the owl? He asks if it's real. She's like, of course not.
Right.
I mean, like, I guess in the source material, owls were like the first animal to die off. So I think
Oh.
that's why they make an appearance here.
Oh, that makes sense why it said that then. The only thing I don't like about the eyes though is then it seems very obvious.
Yeah, wouldn't you just be able to tell who a replicant is right
Yeah.
off the bat?
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of the source material, it's by Philip K. Dick. It came out in 1968. It's a book called Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which is an awesome name.
Yeah, that is awesome. I haven't looked into it, the source material all that much to know how true this is, but it does make sense then why this film doesn't feel like it's more about style than it is about the substance, because I feel like there's too much substance here.
Apparently, there was a bit of back and forth between some of the scriptwriters and the author of the book. And originally, he didn't like it, and then he died actually shortly before the film came out. But he did get to read like kind of one of the final passes of the script, and apparently he liked it. So apparently, it turned out well. But I guess initially it wasn't what he wanted to see.
Interesting. I'd imagine that film was even worse than this one.
Maybe it was better. Shoulder pads. Oh, so she doesn't know that she's a replicant.
Yeah, which seems.
We'll see, but they go out. I mean, he points out that like not every replicant is gonna be put out and not know they're a replicant. It's like it's just to try and test this one out.
Yeah.
Which I'd imagine that's regulated in this world, because I feel like, I mean, just thinking about how it would likely, like how much pushback we have in our modern day world about just with CRISPR. Like think about CRISPR. No one can do anything with CRISPR right now because of all of the ethical concerns with it.
Right.
So to be able to make a replicant that doesn't know, I think would probably violate some sort of standard.
Or maybe they're just more worried about pollution in the crappy world or people are more worried about getting off planet. So maybe Earth doesn't really matter that much anymore. You can kind of just do whatever you want if you have enough money, I guess. I mean, that's an interesting question to bring up, but I wonder if maybe it's just there's not a lot of regulation because they just don't care.
And I wonder too, like, because we just saw the Coca-Cola sign again. Like it's kind of everywhere, but it also feels very much just like a city. It doesn't feel as oppressive as we're meant to make it. We're meant to think. We see the Asian advertisement in a few different places, but it just feels like what it's like to be downtown in like New York City. But it seems to be like a point. It seems like they're trying to say something. I just don't get it with this film.
Yeah, I think I just get caught up in the look of it that I don't really like. Maybe I don't like dive too much into it because I just think it looks neat. I like the cityscapes of it. It's cool world building, and I'm satisfied enough by that.
I think but what I feel like it's shown so often that I feel like they're trying to say something, but that's why I don't necessarily understand. It's because it feels like it's trying to say something, but it doesn't say enough to me. And then where are they right now? They're at the hotel room with the dude that shot the first guy giving him the Voight conf, right?
Yep.
Is there anything in the source material too that says anything about Edward James Olmos's character making all of these little origami things?
So I read a bad thing. Oh, not about the source material. I'm not sure, but I read some thoughts online about it. Like, so the first one's a chicken, and it's supposed to be like Decker's like too chicken to like pursue this, and he kind of is sheepish about moving forward, which I don't buy very much. And then the other one is like a little man, like a little matchstick man. Like this whole thing's about to blow up on him. It's about to become really big. You know, like lighting a match to start off the story. So it was I assume it's more of a fan theory than anything that Ridley Scott's ever confirmed. But I don't know. I don't know much about it, which is odd because I think in the original cut, some of the origami is taken out. So it would mean to me that maybe it wasn't like very important to the story because it didn't make the final cut in some versions of this film. So I wonder how important it is.
Yeah. I think that might explain like why I have a problem with some of the references at the end is the same reason why they took out some of those origami things. Like they're not a consistent enough part of building up the symbols or the subtext of any of this. They're like, yeah, we can get rid of a couple of them because we're not actually saying anything. It doesn't actually come across the way we thought it did.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This movie has just been out for so long, and I think there's been so much kind of surrounding it, and like so it wasn't big when it came out because it came out I want to say the same month or the same weekend as E.T. did, and so it really suffered in the box office. Not a lot of people saw it, and then there was like controversy between Harrison Ford and Ridley Scott, and just more information about the movie came out, and it sort of began to build a cult following, and that's when kind of the re-releases came out and the new cuts of it. And it's gained more popularity since then, and there's just so many theories about it now because I think there is a lot going on in this story, and there's parts of it that are like kind of ambiguous. So you could definitely come up with some theories for this. Mm-hmm. It's hard to tell which ones are intentional and which ones are just fans thinking about this movie too much.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Yeah, I think and so like like that whole scene where they were walking into this biogeneticist. I don't remember bioengineer. I don't remember what he's called yet.
Yeah, as they're trying to figure out what the scale is.
Yeah, not them.
Okay.
This is the replicants. But we had that the camera just kind of it tracked them over as they were walking in, and we're just looking at the cityscape. It's not like a super interesting camera placement. We're just trying to get a scope for everything on the sound stage. I think this is interesting and strange, the way everything is set up. Like here, like he's wearing like a parka. I don't really understand it.
That's I think this movie just has a neat look. It has a neat aesthetic.
Yeah, I think the way I like thinking about it is he's just had to like because they're forgotten and they're on, which is weird. Like this is like how they're colonizing everything. You would think he would be working in a state of the art laboratory, but he's basically just jerry rigged everything with like some hoses to his back and like a fur coat.
You.
I love it. That's James Hong, who every time I hear his voice, I can only think of Chifu from Mulan.
Yeah,
who, like is the one who's telling all the families that their parents or their fathers have to go join the war, their sons have to go join the war. That's all I can think of when I hear his voice.
I know, that was the first thing I thought of, like when I saw it. Like, he was like, even when he was just speaking in Chinese, like you don't understand. I'm like, wow, I know that voice. Why do I know that?
It's really iconic.
I'm pretty sure he does the grandfather in Jackie Chan Adventures.
Oh,
probably right.
Really?
I forgot that's a thing.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan had an animated series. How wild is that?
Yeah, man. I used to watch that.
Yeah, the show was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, just thinking about like lots of cartoons back in the day like that, like why was this made?
Because people love Jackie Chan, man.
Yeah. I do like the motif of eyes, though.
Yeah.
They don't really explain the whole part of the right eye as well as you would think they do, but I mean it's very clear that we've started the film with that shot of the eye and the fire in it. So the fact that they went specifically to someone who makes eyes is interesting. It kind of sets up some of the things that they're trying to say about what it means to be like designed and created and the act of a creator, but.
And Rucker Hauer's just awesome in this. Like, he's just such a character that you just instantly fear, I think. Like, at least when I watch this, I'm like, okay, we have our big bad guy here. But he's just so menacing. I love him in this.
Even with that hairline and the bleach, like
Hair is sweet, dude.
You would think they'd make replicants, like, as pretty as possible. But yeah, he has an undesirable
that dude.
hairline, yeah.
yeah, well, both of them. Like, especially since if they're only going to live 4 years, like they're aging. They're not aging.
Mm-hmm.
So
He would have been designed to be that way, yeah.
yeah, they literally had to map out his hairline at that point. They couldn't just use like a stock one. Like each one of them is different, which I think is fun. This is, I think, the first time in the film that the camera has actually shook at all.
Well, and the cars are driving on the ground, which is throwing me way off.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that part. I feel like
What do
this
you
is
do?
something that got cut
Yeah.
because it adds nothing. We're just showing him get home, and I guess he was listening to the recording of the dude getting
So
shot.
that little windshield wiper covers that whole windshield.
Yes.
You guys want to hear some of the original titles ideas for this?
Yeah.
So the idea was to do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. They got rid of that. Then they just called it Android. And I think one of the reasons they went away from that is because I guess in the source material they are referred to as androids, and Ridley Scott wanted to change it to replicants, so then it wouldn't work to have that title anymore. My favorite one is Mechanismo. I have no idea why they changed from that. That's an amazing title.
Yeah.
Or really, really good name if you're like you want to be like an EDM DJ. The other one is Dangerous Days, which actually became the title for a documentary that came out along with the final cut. It was Dangerous Days, the making of Blade Runner. And then it changed to Blade Runner. And then Ridley Scott was like, never mind, I changed my mind. I don't like that. I want to call it Gotham City.
What?
Which makes no sense. And he talked to Bob Kane, who's the co-creator of Batman. And he was like, I'm not going to sell you the rights to use it. So he went back to Blade Runner, which
Yeah.
is a much better name than Gotham City.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now
absolutely.
expect Batman.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would get lost in the Batman universe as far as like what people were looking for movies.
Yeah.
I think what's kind of fascinating about that is Christopher Nolan has said that Blade Runner had a lot of influence on how he made his Dark Knight trilogy. And so it'd be kind of odd if that was called Gotham City.
Yeah.
It's like, I really wanted to make a Batman movie after I saw Gotham City.
Got ham.
So I'm confused then. So Blade Runners, they weren't called Blade Runners in the book?
I don't know. I haven't read
Because
it.
I don't know why you wouldn't immediately be like, oh yeah, that's the title of my film.
It sounds rad.
Dangerous Days?
Yeah.
That's utterly forgettable.
Oh yeah, Blade Runner is. I'm glad they settled on this. Of all the options, besides Mechanismo, Blade Runner is clearly the coolest name. Mechanismo should have been like the name of like the computer voice in his car. He's like, "Hey Mechanismo, like search this place for me." They
I thought it should have been Hoff 9000.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Hal.
No, save that for Kung Fury.
Never hassle the Hoff.
I do-
That yesterday too.
Oh yeah. Oh, I do love that. And I do like. Here's another nice thing they've done. Like they've continued to carry that motif of eyes with the photos too. So there's this sense of identity that one has with seeing and memory, and how that creates a person. So I do like they try to stay consistent as far as like what they're showing.
He's such an ass.
I love Harrison Ford, dude.
Yeah.
He's acting in this, which is just a pleasant surprise compared to what he puts out now.
You know,
When
his
he-
actually.
well,
He does
show
the
up.
only thing he's in now is like, hey, you're a part of this franchise.
Yeah.
We need you to be in this movie now.
It's like when he does show up, it's just like you can just tell he's just so begrudgingly delivering
this
every
is
line.
like, I don't want to work anymore. I'm old as fuck. I just want to hang out, dude.
Well, he was excited about 2049. So there was that. That was one of the ones that he was like, yeah, I'd love to continue in the Blade Runner franchise.
I know that he like definitely did not want to be in Star Wars.
I don't know who would.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Mark Hamill was stoked.
Yeah,
until
I think
he read
he-
this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he loves reveling in this idea of this like this cult figure, like this celebration of being weird and being kind of quirky. Like
Yeah.
that's why he does. I think he loves being that type of character and type of person to show like how much fun it is just being someone creating and having fun with fans.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the difference there is that's not really who Harrison Ford is. He doesn't really seem to be like the life of the party.
No. Which is exactly why I think I'd hang out with him.
There's a meme of him at like some club behind the bar making drinks.
Yeah, no, he gets down,
Yeah,
dude. Yeah.
He does seem like maybe
Yeah.
he's the life of the party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's actually like a really, really nice guy.
That's awesome.
Him and Bill Murray. Bill Murray goes hard, dude.
He looks like it. It's funny too. Like some actors seem like they make movies out of like, yeah, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Do you know that Bill Murray is an honorary graduate of the University of Regis?
Yeah, I did see. He went there for like a year.
Yeah, he was gonna be like pre-med and he went there. That's where I go to school. That's why I think it's fun. I think it's funny. I think honorary degrees are the silliest thing ever.
Oh, it's just because they're famous.
Yeah.
Well, other than like Carl Sagan, I think was given like 14 honorary.
Who the fuck is that?
Oh, Carl. We've talked about Carl Sagan.
We talked about him in our review of Interstellar.
Yeah, he's like oh shoot, Neil deGrasse Tyson, like but for the 70s, like.
Oh.
But like a significantly like better person too. Like he's just like yeah, like he's just like a wonderful human being in general, but also incredibly smart.
Bill.
See, this is like synth that fits the scene. This is that like neo-noir kind of sound that you're talking about, which I think works in this scene as opposed to the other one.
I just
Because like you said, the other one's more
I think it
uplifting.
seems kind of silly right here.
yeah, like I don't love the tone of a lot of those noir films when they do music like this. It doesn't seem the right mode to me.
So like my whole thing is
For
like
80s sci-fi, this really
yeah.
works
So
for me.
every older movie does not have a good score. I feel
There's
like.
there are some that are decent,
I
but
just
they're
don't think
not.
so, man. I think that almost all old movies just kind of suck in general.
You just got to see them without their scores, especially. That's why when you'll love like Andrei Tarkovsky because that's not the point.
Yeah.
Just as long as you stay awake.
Do you like scenes like this where it has, you have like your ground level, it has some like matte paintings in the back, you have like your vehicles composite flying over. Do you guys feel like this movie is dated? I mean, it is dated in a way, but do you get taken out of this seeing those kinds of things?
Not necessarily. I just don't find the camera placement to be all that entertaining or engaging. Like it's just we're showing things as they are. There's a way of placing cameras that change perspective and say things more in addition to what you're actually showing on the frame. When we talk about 2049, I'll mention some of those things because there's a higher level of auteur quality with those. Like these are just like we got to show all of our characters, we got to show our action. That's all this is. Like this is a strange. Like all they've done is they've continually left the camera in the same place, and they're just tilting back and forth, and then redoing the scene again, and with the camera in a different place.
So that scene where she breaks through the window, that was an accident. She slips, and when she breaks, that's not like breakaway glass. She actually like fractured part of her elbow doing that. She just like slips.
Wow. Well, what it take to keep?
Yeah,
At least she
right.
kept acting.
Yeah, that's Daryl Hannah, who's playing Pris. That was a total accident. Slammed right into it.
That's crazy. Yeah, and again, like all of the
That was
replicants
a really
are fairly
quick cut too. It showed him for like 1 second, then cut back to her.
yeah, right. Yeah, like, I feel like they're just cutting when they say things, and that's not necessarily a good way of setting this up. This is again like all they've done is they've set up this dialogue with 2 cameras, or one camera have her do all of her lines, one camera have him to do all of his lines, and that's all they've done. So they don't have anything else to cut away to.
I know I've talked about this before, but I love the way Hereditary does 2 characters having a conversation together. It'll have a pretty wide shot of them, and you can see them both actually reacting to each other. When they have a 2-camera setup like this, my assumption is that like one take that makes it in may not have been the actual person reacting to what actually happened, like the other character saying. And so it just seems more organic when you have 2 people you can see on screen at the same time. To me, it builds like a more realistic scene than the cutting back and forth, because like when I have a conversation with you and I see you talk to Jaden also, it's like I'm not like constantly like looking between the 2 of you. I can see both of you in my field of view, and it just makes more sense. It's a much better looking shot, I think, than the 2-camera setup. I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah, like it makes sense for editing purposes, especially if you wanted to go back and cut a couple lines. But I think it also says something about what your vision for that scene was. If you have the whole thing being acted out within a single frame, then you had in mind exactly what was going to be said, what you were trying to say with it, and you're just that much better. You've created a better film and a better, more engaging scene, if that's the case. This is again like why I don't think that like this is not really a film that I would call as being made by an auteur, because these are just you didn't need someone like Ridley Scott to work to come up with these shots. Whoever did the cinematography, this is just basic. This is basic stuff. But I do love how we had all of those like flashing lights down into the center of the building, whatever the courtyard area type thing, and again just reinforcing like how you're being seen and watched.
This dude is fucking weird.
Right.
I think everyone in this movie is weird.
Yeah, this dude especially. That
Yeah.
he bothers me.
I do find like that right there, like when they were in the foyer, that was one of the most interesting shots in the entire film, other than when they were in the Tyrell Corporation. But that's also because of the set design, not necessarily because of where we placed our subjects.
Oh, nice, dude.
And I think like, what were you gonna say?
So these Arizona seltzers are not good.
They just don't taste good.
They taste like shit. Yeah, they're bad, dude. They
So
have such a cool can though.
Yeah.
See, so and I think this is a scene that isn't in the original cut. It's put in for the director's cut, and then people are like, "What is happening?" And then they do the final cut, which kind of explains it more. So,
Does it though?
well, 'cause
Unicorn.
there's the unicorn origami at the end of this.
Yeah, but that's it. Like
Explain was a generous word to use.
Yeah, all they did was add another thing that made sense.
I think you're right. Like you're talking about stuff that could make this, that probably didn't need to make the cut of this. You know, that's probably part of it. Do you know the original like cut was over 4 hours long?
That sounds like it. I mean, Denis has a cut of 2049 that's over 4 hours, and he's like, no one will ever watch that.
Oh man, I really want to see.
Yeah,
that.
he was like, he literally said, I will never show that to anyone.
Whoa, man, I want to see that.
That's
That
actually
sounds
pretty
amazing.
like that's like even in my own experience when I was making like my own short like 5-minute films, a lot of times you'd have 10 minutes of footage, and maybe you got a final cut that was like 8 minutes, and you're like I can tighten it up more. So that's a very normal part of the process.
Still, this being the version that is the closest to like what Ridley Scott wanted this to be, the fact that it would have been over twice as long.
Yeah.
Like that seems like cutting an awful lot. Like I could get, I mean, because what Lord of the Rings, those extended editions probably have like 45 minutes added on them.
Each one.
But it's something around that. It's
Yeah,
like
I was
30,
about to
40
say,
minutes.
yeah.
But those are already really long, so it makes sense that they would have stuff you could tack on still. To tack on another like 2.5 hours to this seems outrageous. Like, what else could you have possibly added?
A whole nother movie.
Right.
Sounds like a lot.
So, and I've heard that there are theories that they think that Deckard is a replicant. I think one thing that you can use is maybe a visual clue that he is when he was, before, we're analyzing the photo right now, when he was sitting at the piano and playing and hitting a couple notes, there were all those photos there. So it's, again, that continued motif is like replicants create memories and identities through photos.
Or it's like they have these implanted memories, and the implanted memory is just associated with the photo. That's what I got from it, because Rachel has the implanted memories of Tyrell's niece, and so that's why she thinks she's in this photo of Tyrell's niece.
Yeah, that's what I'm
it's just
saying.
an
Like,
implanted memory.
A chicken and egg type thing.
Right,
whether
right.
they created a memory out of the photo or a photo of a memory, that type of thing. It's the same sort of way. Like they're not authentic. Like they're just printed. Like, this is what the type of life I lived. It's an
Right.
external like memory source almost.
So there's a bit of controversy surrounding the is Deckard a replicant? In 2000, Ridley Scott came out and he said that Deckard is a replicant, and Harrison Ford took issue with that. He said we had agreed that he definitely was not a replicant, and then Rutger Hauer, who plays Beatty in this, he also said in his
Batty.
in his biography that he thought it really takes away from like the end of this film, where it's sort of this idea of like man versus machine, and if they're two replicants, it totally ruins that.
Yeah.
So
No,
I would be pretty annoyed, coming back, over 20 years later to be like, or a little less than 20 years later to come out and kind of change your whole story after people who were involved with the film were assured that that was not the case. I think that's kind of a crappy move.
Yeah, like the J.K. Rowling retcon of the entire Harry Potter universe.
That is so. And yeah, she like did it all through Twitter. That is such an
Yeah,
odd
like
thing.
that's where the canon
people
is.
hate her now.
Yeah,
That is really odd.
I love how the canon of Harry Potter really resides on her Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Hermione was always a black girl. It's like in the first book, it's like pale skin.
Yeah,
Like,
I did read something
like,
about
what
that.
are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, that's why her hair was so curly and frizzy. Like
Yeah.
that was the whole
Yeah.
like reasoning behind it, I think. I don't have a problem with that, like, but just like it's very clear by your source material, like that's not that's not what you
was happening.
created.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to score points in a way that
Oh, it's like this weird virtue
Sounds
signaling. Yeah.
yeah, like
Way after the fact. Like,
yeah, like I mean, the thing is like why there are so many stories about white people and especially white men is because it's who's in positions of powers in societies in order to create. It's not about like I think it's just disingenuous to create characters that are not out of yourself. Those are not my experiences. What we need to do is elevate people to tell their stories and their experiences, not like tell me my version of what it means to be a black girl,
Yeah.
like as a white man. Like that's not a very engaging story.
Right. So this portion where they're looking at the scale under the microscope is supposedly a marijuana bud. That's what they actually use.
Really?
Hi.
Yeah.
I wish they kind of like the same thing in 2049, like this idea of serial numbers. Like where did they go? It seems like, is it in the bones? Is it in the skin? Is it in the scales? Like
It's in them.
it seems to be everywhere, but
Yeah.
like only in a very specific part. So there's only one serial number there. You think there would be
I
like
wonder
some
if
other?
there must be a number in every scale, because they just found one.
How is that?
So yeah.
Yeah, that's mind-boggling.
How
to me.
they were created, I guess.
But if the scale broke, then like, what's the? I don't know. I have a large
Right.
problem with that, especially at this point in society. I don't think that.
Calvin, the story has to go along. Okay.
I know. I just feel like they could do it like analyzing the biological matter, like rather than a serial number.
So we talked a bit about how this seems like a bunch of different people groups and cultures kind of shoved into one city. I like the sound of this. Seems like something you'd hear like a Middle Eastern like market. But then earlier you hear, it's like it has like a Chinese theme to it, and he's like getting his noodles and stuff. So I like the kind of eclectic nature of parts of this score, how it seems to like kind of involve kind of different cultures and stuff, even, and that captures kind of what's happening on film as well. I like that aspect of the score.
Yeah, I do like this. Do like it here. It does feel like kind of like the muzak you hear in malls, but like the
Right,
muzak
yeah.
of of what a Middle Eastern bazaar would sound like. And I like how they've incorporated, like they've taken different aspects of different cultures and then moved them up 30 years. So you have like the Chinese rice patty hats, and then like you also have like those domes that look like they're from Star Wars. Like those are people's bike helmets.
Yeah. I also read that a lot of the hats you see in this are like wicker baskets they bought from a Pier 1 Imports or something like that. They just threw them on their heads. So
That's awesome.
Those freaking long pipes, dude. Why?
Yeah, right.
Why is everyone smoking out of those?
You'd imagine some of them would be smoking hookahs too. It's like it feels like this is the kind of neighborhood
this would
that
be
they're
the
in.
setting.
Did you see
for it,
Luka
huh?
Doncic smoking hookah during his interview?
What?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. God, that guy.
Yeah, I love Luka.
He can play basketball.
Yeah, he can.
And speaking of Luca, like it's weird to think that maybe the trade for the Hawks is going to pay off. Like
Yeah.
Trey Young might be.
Yeah,
but I don't think
that
it's
might
like-
be the best like trade for both teams in NBA history.
Yeah, like I think that Luca is ultimately going to be a better player because he's more well-rounded. But Trey Young fits better with the current NBA.
I think the Hawks have more of a chance of winning a title than the Mavericks do.
I hope
I
someone
think
listens
so.
to this recording a couple years from now and like it didn't work out at all, and they're like comment be like, these bunch of idiots. That was the worst trade in NBA history.
Yeah, we're talking about like Trey Young has like hair. Like, what are these idiots on? He doesn't have any.
I mean, he barely has it now. It's like 23.
I feel so sorry for him.
Whatever, he's making millions of dollars, dude.
Yeah, and he gets to play basketball.
Yeah. There's this video of him playing like in like some like rec league thing or whatever, and some dude's just talking mad shit to him. He's like, "You're not gonna score." Like it's like the last seconds of the game. Like Trae Young just like shoots a 3 over him, and like now that guy's just like everyone hates him. You're a fucking idiot, dude. Just don't talk shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what they thrive on, or at
Yeah.
least maybe not thrive, but at least they know that they're playing against something like that all the time.
Yeah.
It's just a part of their daily game.
How these glasses are supposed to look futuristic. They just like dip them in like Play-Doh or something.
Yeah, they're like frosted, but like they look more like plaster. And I think this right here, the serpent that once corrupted man, I think this is our first biblical reference in the entire film. I mean, what are we at now? We're your controller shut
33 minutes.
we're like 50 minutes in.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
by fast.
That's what we're at 52 minutes. And that's our first biblical reference.
It
in
literally
the
turned
entire-
52 right when Calvin said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our first biblical reference in the entire film. We're halfway through the movie, and you're starting to make this a different symbol set of symbols than what you've established already. You already had like this idea of Egyptian gods. Why are you bringing in then biblical references? I don't understand that.
I love this. What Harrison Ford does here with his voice and stuff.
So
Sounds so like dweeby and stuff. Like he's like actually like, this is your best part of acting. It's your character acting. Like,
Yeah, like there's an alternate universe where like Pee Wee Herman is actually played by Harrison Ford.
oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
I would absolutely watch that.
So this is Joanne Cassidy right here playing Zora, and the snake that she has is a Burmese python. It's her pet snake. It's named Darling.
Oh my God.
neat. She's just grabbing it like that.
It also took 3 hours to bedazzle her.
That seems crazy. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that almost.
That took 3 hours.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff on there, man.
I know, but it's just like it's not like you're painting on the latex as much. Like I feel like you could just I don't know.
Bedazzle technology back then just wasn't where it is at now.
Yeah.
So much more time consuming.
I'm sure. Yeah, the technology just hadn't caught up to the costume design yet.
She doesn't. 3 hours just for her to wash it off in the scene.
Dude, you're 100% right. These Arizona
They're fucking
seltzers
terrible.
are not good.
They had the grapefruit one. I drank all of those last night. I
Oh,
think.
boy.
That one was not bad, but yeah, I made the wrong choice. Didn't have any blackberry White Claws.
This
so I
lemon
had-
has a oaky afterbirth.
It's like disgusting. Don't call it afterbirth.
that's so bad.
The cans
make it-
sure
yeah.
do look cool.
Yeah, when
though.
you say afterbirth, it makes it sound like it has like a really thick body.
Ew, man.
It's a gooey seltzer.
I do love this continued reference to there just aren't animals anymore.
Yeah.
Like
It's weird though that like I didn't understand that at first because she was talking about how expensive the fake owl was, but here we've established that it actually costs more to own a real animal.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't understand. Like, I guess
The
just
dynamics
all
there.
yeah. Like,
no, that confused me as well.
it's just like it's not. This world isn't consistently built out in a way that makes it convincing. And I mean that right there, just like that karate chop. Like I think
It
that
took him like a half a second to react to it, too.
yeah. But I think like within the film, like that is right there, like
Okay.
one of the most obvious reasons that he's a replicant.
Yeah. So here's the other thing: is like, so she puts on this queer jacket thing, and she's gonna go run and try to like blend in with the crowd, and she picks the absolute worst outfit on earth to do this.
you're so right.
Yeah, I love how she's wantonly attacking anyone that might
Yeah.
come in her path too. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, so this entire film is all about these really intricate set pieces. You know, there's some of those aerials and stuff, but it's all about how many people are here on the set at the same time in these very cool costumes. I think right there, that's like what this film is.
I'm seeing all the wickerness now, dude.
Yeah,
In the hats. Yeah, wicker hat.
looking for the Pier 1 reference. Oh, there's the Atari one. Yeah. Yeah, it's
That's just the sound of Connor's flip flops. Don't worry.
yeah, I do love like you have like so many different religions even like because I mean you have the monks. There was one dude that looked like he was wearing like a modern not a habit but what did the priests wear?
I don't know.
There's something like that. And this, so I mean, a Blade Runner just waving a gun around in a crowd.
No
like,
one gives a shit.
Yeah, and it's also like, what are they? Like, I
Yeah.
guess I didn't even think of that. Like, I just thought, like, what kind of government agent or something just waves around a gun in public?
And nobody cares.
Yeah,
at all.
that's also I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Like, literally, no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's just because like everyone down here is just like, it's just assumed like crime is that high and it's just
Yeah.
going to happen. It's I don't know.
Or maybe
but
they
it's
know
like-
he's a Blade Runner and like crime isn't very high, and the only crime that happens is people killing replicants.
Yeah, which I think would put fear in your heart then because like
I'm not
A
a
Blade
replicant.
Runner's-
Oh my god!
yeah, or like because I mean like just like a Blade Runner is gonna run around and shoot things like
There's
randomly.
not even any blades.
Yeah, I don't
He should be
necessarily
using
know,
a
like,
sword. Like,
that would honestly that would make
it's like if you just hear about this title, Blade Runner, you would think it's like a dude like there's this universe where guns were never made, but like blades are outlawed in the country, so he has to like run blades from Mexico to the United States.
right. Or like I wish they would like threw a reference to the Kessel Run.
Yeah. yeah.
Like this.
So he shoots her in that spot.
It's not there in that shot.
All right,
though.
all right. Okay, we see it in that spot on her like right shoulder and on her back.
See, this is like the synth, I think, not working in this scene.
No,
Yeah.
nothing about this scene works at all to me. I hate this whole part.
Yeah, it's very jazzy. It's
Yeah, it is. It's like jazzy
Yeah.
synth. It's
Like,
weird.
When it's
He
used
shoots her in the
earlier-
same spot. He shoots her
Yeah.
in the exact same spot.
that grouping.
And there's just so much running through glass in this scene too.
It's so much slow mo. I
Yeah.
love how the mullion broke right there. Like it shattered in half.
like tape.
Yeah, look at it. It's a streamer. That's what. Oh my god, I didn't recognize. Oh my gosh, they put all of their money into the basket hats.
So he shot her twice in the same spot. But then you go up to her. It's on either shoulder. That's where the 2 bullet wounds are. So that's not where you got shot, lady.
Dude, what an egregious continuity error.
Yeah. And everyone just wears glow sticks around their necks in the future.
Oh my gosh, I just noticed that. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Oh, it's almost like her ancient.
This dude, man. It cracks me up.
You know,
But to
looking
be
at the-
fair, like in 2019, there is a part in the mall that looks exactly like that, where you just girls buy raver outfits.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember.
I mean, maybe not. It's like neon lights everywhere and stuff like that, but it's like the same outfits.
That's funny. But yeah, like that's what I mean. Like there was just such an amazing amount of slow mo there. It was about running down
It's wearing,
and
like
killing.
4
Like,
visors.
oh my god, you're right.
It's like,
But yeah, we spent so much time on this really violent murder of a replicant.
he just dips.
Yeah,
It's just later, guy.
yeah, right.
That's what I wonder. What kind of jurisdiction does he have? What kind of is he above the law? I mean,
Yeah, are we
it's not-
sad
I
about
would've
this
liked, I
even?
would have liked to have been explained more.
Yeah, like I don't even understand if we're supposed to be sad about that.
No.
Like why is it so overly violent and
No.
slow motion?
He's like,
but-
is this enough? Like when he buys his bottle of alcohol. Like what if that's just how you bought things? He just goes to store like, hey, I have this much money. Like, yeah, it's cool. Like the fucking idiots, like twice as much as what this is worth. Like, and every time I'd be like, nah, more money.
you know, his eyes are green. Edward James Olmos is.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
that's
very green.
maybe that's what he forgot.
That's just my dog. That is not part of the movie. She's just very excited because Connor's girlfriend walked down here.
Yeah. She's very excited.
Yeah, she is.
Gosh.
Hey, hey.
Oh, okay. So it was Rachel. I thought because what I was talking about, like in terms of the number of replicants he was hunting down, it was the number that escaped from off-world and came to Earth.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is there
there were
is
4.
No, there is 5.
No, there were 4.
I'm telling you, there's 5.
No, there's 4 because the 5th one is Rachel. That's what he just said. Because he's only killed one of them.
Yeah, but earlier in the film they say that 5 left the planet
But he just said there's only 4 more to go.
because they've already gotten rid of.
1. They only got rid of 1. Because you still have Daryl Hannah, you still have Rutger Hauer, you still have the dude with the mustache. There's 3, and then the 4th one is Rachel.
It's tough to know because in this cut they got rid of it, of that line, that continuity error. So I don't know how much of that was edited out for this version. I just know that my point is just in the original one. The count is off, and they fixed it in this version.
Yeah. Again, like this fight here with Leon, like, I mean, it said that he can pick up like 400-pound like loads all day. Like, if Deckard is not a replicant,
He should be getting torn through.
yeah,
right?
he's absolutely pulverized. I mean, even if he is a replicant,
Yeah.
right?
This is Brian James playing Leon. I think, dude, he's got the crazy eyes. He's great in this.
Oh yeah, he is.
There's some kind of there's a little bit of offness to all the replicants that makes them like I think kind of really fascinating when you just like kind of watch them like. That's a great line. But they're not like off in the same way. It's like there's just something about each of them, like a little quirk that makes them each interesting in their own way. And
Yeah.
he's got the crazy going on.
Yeah. I wish that was more like that. Like just make a regular person. Like for the other ones it's like how they were designed, which I find strange. Like corporations that mass producing these things wouldn't make them like that, you know. They would make them all the exact same, which is like why in 2049 Dave Bautista's there's another one in like preserved in a tank because that's his model. That's
Right,
exactly
right.
what it would look like. And he's just bald. So
Yeah, but these are sixes, Nexus sixes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? Is it Spinner?
Sapper.
Sapper? Yeah, Sapper's in a Nexus 8.
No, he was a Nexus 6 too. That's why he was retired. Nexus 8s were the ones with like Ryan Gosling and Love. Those were Nexus 8s. So K and Love, I mean.
I don't know. IMDb says he's a Nexus 8. And I think that what Love and K are models after the 8s. Because 7s and 6s come after the blackout.
Yeah. And
I think,
that's why
they're still hunted because, they're still like aren't, I guess, like functioning the way that they want replicants to act. But but Sapper he is a model after what you see in this film.
So he's a 7? Because I don't think he's an 8, right?
It says he's an 8, and I think it says he's an 8 in the film. I don't know. We'll
Okay.
cross-reference this with our review of Blade Runner 2049.
Okay, and this, now we get to probably like the strangest part of the whole film, honestly. So Rachel's here. Vision of something.
Yeah.
Like
It's a sweet gun holster he's got. He did movies when people put guns in the front of their pants.
That is weird.
It just reminds me of 8 Mile. I'm like, that's the only movie that does that right. 'Cause it's not their penis.
This is one of our least favorite scenes, right?
This is almost ruins the whole movie for me.
yeah, it's unfortunately like it's a very old device for as far as film goes. I do love the eyes there. They do remind you exactly like an animal.
Yeah.
Like in the night, like almost like stalking their prey, which is funny because that's not what this scene is about. But yeah, it's like the male idea of seduction for a man in film like is very, very generally overt and
have to be the men.
yeah, and forceful. Like women want to be told what they want and what to do, and I'm going to tell them exactly what is. So it's not something new on film. It's just an unfortunately, yeah.
And it's weird too because it's kind of taking advantage of a character who she doesn't really know who she is. Like she doesn't even know she's a replicant. It's taking advantage of this kind of innocence, I think, in a way.
Yeah.
It's really odd choice.
It's fucking terrible. I don't like it at all. It makes me really uncomfortable.
Yeah, and we don't understand like Sam Deckard is not a very good character, just in general.
So
like I don't know what his motivations
he has
are.
the reflection here. This is like one of the hints that
did
he
he?
might be a replicant.
I did not see that reflection. It's weird how it comes up sometimes and then other times it doesn't,
Yep.
But again, it's an odd convention in
Those
this movie
cabinets
to
are
have
fancy.
that Voight-Kampff test. Just look at their eyes. Just have a camera that looks at eyes, I guess, which is weird because that's a part of the test. So
yeah,
wouldn't
that's
that just
literally
tell
like,
you,
yeah, you can see that.
It'd be different if they were like, oh, we have a problem with everyone getting eye modifications, or like genetically enhancing their eyes, and like that's just a characteristic of it as well. That would make sense. Like that would be.
She literally calls him a policeman. Okay, so I don't understand. What is a Blade Runner?
I think
Beyblades. It's the only weapon he should use. It's freaking.
I do like again, like here, like all of the light coming in, like being seen, but you have this weird score.
That's what I'm saying. The sound design here is very bad.
Yeah.
Stop dressing like that.
I like it. I love her silhouette. It's like kind of gives her this kind of inhuman look.
Yeah,
which is what
that
she
makes
is.
sense,
I love her silhouette.
Yeah, and like literally like the projection of femininity, like this is my concept of what my ideal feminine qualities would look like.
Right.
But again, and so here are all of the photos that I was referring to. These are all of Deckard's memories. These are what make him a more full-fledged seeming replicant because he has more photos, more memories. That's kind of what I see as far as a design choice going with that.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Either that or he's a human. She's comparing the difference, like how few photos she has
yeah.
to what a real human has. A real human has memories and experiences, and there's a lot more of them.
That's kind of why I like sort of the ambiguity surrounding Deckard. I like this better if Ridley Scott doesn't come out and say that he's a replicant. I think it's more fun if you don't. And one thing in 2049, it's brought up, he's like, are you a replicant or maybe something else? Or maybe you were designed that way or maybe you were born this way. And so I think kind of 2049 kind of gets rid of that, what Ridley Scott said, because it kind of then returns Deckard to being like, it's ambiguous, like what his real identity is.
I thought he was just referring to like God in that aspect. That scene Jared Leto was. But
I
that's
think,
a different movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why like there are some ideas here about what it means to be human and whether human is different than AI is, because that's the thing is like if we're created, there is a creator. What is really the difference? Is there such a hierarchy, or can something that's created then create something that would be on the same level as something that's created? That's that kind of, it's a weird way of thinking about it. And the movie kind of pokes at it, but it doesn't give you enough that you can build like a fuller idea on it.
Her hair looks so much better down.
Oh, it's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think again, like this is more of it's the difference between like, I don't know, like her hair up is one thing, but it's more business.
Yeah.
Whereas this is more, sexual allure, which is why he's coming over right
so
now.
Weird.
Letting down my hair. And yeah, this drum music.
But I do like that idea. If she has memories that are human memories, what stops her from essentially not being human, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's tackled well enough in this, but I guess it kind of sucks that the solution to them not being quite human is to retire them instead of trying to figure out a different way to maybe absorb them into your culture, your society, or they could be something other than slave labor. But I guess that defeats the whole point of having the replicants. The whole point is that they are, it's society is built on the back of exploiting some kind of workforce, and so if they can't do that, if they assimilate them, then they can't exploit them anymore. So.
Yeah, and it's also like there's like
so creepy. It's so creepy, man.
Yeah,
like this
why
part is so bad.
None of this setup makes any sense.
No.
Like, why is he mad?
Because she's not having sex with him. And he just grabs her.
It's because Harrison Ford is mad at Ridley Scott, and he's acting that out in this scene.
Yeah, he's like, why am I doing this? Look, this is so awful. Everything about this is so bad.
And it's like, again, here are the blinds coming through.
Yeah.
But the music
the
is
most
like,
awkward kiss of all time.
Yeah.
Just staring at her.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you want it. And it's like the music is super sensual. You've got Kenny G going like
This is odd.
This is so bad. It makes me so uncomfortable.
yeah, now you kiss me. Like it's like he's explaining.
Say kiss me.
Yeah, it's like he's explaining how to be human, but he's also not explaining that this is actually how to rape human. Like, right, it's
like he's not really acting like a person either.
No.
So.
Oh,
everything
yeah.
in here is so awkward and forced and just weird.
Yeah,
man.
he is a bad kisser as well. This must be his first time with a replicant. That sounds like
so weird. It's
yeah.
so
Quivering,
weird.
holding back tears.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Yeah.
it's
Put your hands on me.
it sounds like
The least honest thing I've ever heard.
yeah, it sounds like a cry for help. It's absolutely awful.
So bad.
And he's like holding her. It's not passion.
No.
It's
Yeah, there you go. You got the Pan Am thing in the background again.
yeah, same. But this is another shot. Like we've seen this exact shot earlier in the film, but we were tracking forward, whereas now we're following forward, and this time we're moving back. Like it's just being reused, which is kind of lazy. Like there's lots here to explore. Why give us the same exact shot?
Yeah.
That when it doesn't actually mean anything symbolically.
This
fucking
film kind
so
of really
weird.
limits its way of telling the story because of its kind of
More unicorns.
well, it's like lack of
Yeah.
travel, kind of really. And I understand you can have you can have a story that takes place in a small area or one town, I feel like this would kind of lend itself to kind of, let me do detective work in this part of the city that has a different look to it. Let me investigate over here, and this is like a different, maybe a society or culture in it, so it has a different look and feel to it. I think the story and the look of this film is limited by its lack of movement. It's like lack of travel.
Yeah, and like everything is meant to look homogenized, but at the same time, we've also taken different like racial or cultural stereotypes and made them like the bazaar, like the bar, like all of those types of things are meant to be different, but within the same homogeneity.
I think they still, but they're not different enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my issue. Like, I don't see, there's not a huge difference between like the bazaar and then the place he's getting noodles at. It's just very hustly bustly,
Yeah.
Hustly bustly.
They all have the same feel to me.
Yeah.
And they all work together to kind of string along this like aesthetic through the film. So I think it works in that way, but homogenized is a good way to put it. Everything just looks and feels kind of the same.
Yeah.
I think the style is cool. I just think it needs to explore different looks that still fit into the continuity of this.
Mm-hmm. I love the slight just the pupils being like a slightly different reflection. I think that's so cool.
Fucking weird, man.
And I wish they like expanded on JF Sebastian a little bit more. Just on this idea, here's another creator and a different kind of creator, but they just kind of, he's not very deep.
No, he's just like, hey, we need a weird guy in this movie. Let's put a weird guy in this movie.
Yeah,
that's what I feel
like.
And then it's just like the atmosphere doesn't seem natural. It just seems like, doesn't seem organic. Like this is fucking off-putting.
Mm-hmm.
His character, not so much. I do like his character, just like his environment that he places himself in.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Also, very weird. No one in this movie knows how to kiss.
Oliver knows.
But that makes more sense to me because they're both replicants.
Yeah.
They're literally like both like 2 years old, like making puppy dog eyes at each other because they don't understand what's going on. I kind of like that understanding of it because like I'd imagine that replicants aren't given that type of emotional range, right? Because it's not they can't breed. It doesn't serve any purpose. So the fact that they have it is weird and interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There'd be no reason to put memories in them that would lead them to figure out like what love is or how
unless
to have
they're a
romantic
pleasure model,
relationship.
which they do.
But,
make.
right.
Yeah. But neither one of these.
But these ones were like working. They were like laborers.
Yeah, one was a combat.
In a combat one. So there would be no. I guess
Look how high his pants are.
The ability to have like a romantic relationship probably wouldn't be like a high priority to implant memory.
Yeah, it would make no sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I guess they're implying that those get developed because they've gone off the rails of their programming so much so that they're actually developing like romantic connections. But I don't know. It's just like they act in too many different ways that just aren't supported by what we're seeing by like the world that's created.
Well, I think that's kind of the point is they're designed to be one way and they've expanded beyond that. And that's why having these replicants live any longer, that's why they're given that lifespan. And that's why they're given kind of a limited amount of the memories they have is so they don't develop beyond what Terrell wants them to be or what society needs them to be, Like
but their AI is pushing them beyond that.
Yeah,
right.
I suppose that makes sense. Like there would be a wide range. Like if 4 years is the hard limit, you'd imagine though, like an expiration date on food. Like we're so far past the point. We've given you a date that's so far away from the actual time it spoils that we're fine, we're covered. So the fact that it's 4 years and they're developing all of these types of emotions now means that it really should be like 2 years.
Yeah. Right.
But that's what I mean. But like I do see what you're saying. Like there's such a wide range of possibility then because their AI programming is so wild.
Yeah.
See, this is
fucking weird.
It's weird, but it's not weird enough. I don't like where the camera is placed right here because it's not very subjective. It's just, let's just show two people standing here right now.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about it. That's what I think that holds this film back. It could be a lot better in that sense. But again, see, we've just kept the camera here and she's done all of those things.
So maybe if the camera work was different, I'd feel more Like maybe this is more natural.
Yeah, we get a lot more
Yeah.
sense. Like, think about The Fountain. Like, Darren Aronofsky uses so many different ways of moving the camera to tell the same thing. Like, he tells stories with the camera movement itself, which is
Yeah.
not what's happening here.
No. The camera's secondary to everything else going on.
Yeah, we just want to get as much as we can
Yeah.
in the frame. And sometimes we're just focusing on the characters. It's just not... He just
And you
doesn't have a great
Sebastian
eye
in
for
the
it.
foreground of that shot too, and he's
Yeah.
he's like cropped in this frame, so weird.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that in that case, it really wasn't the point of Sebastian. It's all meant to be in the perspective of Roy Batty, and that's why J.F. Sebastian was out of focus. But yeah, it's really just
that's why I think
J.F.
it's weird that
Sebastian.
he's in the that just don't have him in the frame. Then if he's not the point of view you want, I just think it's
Yeah, I agree with
doesn't
that. Like,
quite fit.
zoom in more.
Yeah,
Well, they're doing the same thing here. Yeah, it's too like the way that they do conversations in all the movies is just very funky. I understand the way they do it in Hereditary, where they take a step back, where you can actually see their body
yeah.
language.
After seeing that movie, I hate two camera setup.
Yeah,
I do not find it to be enjoyable to watch, and I think like Calvin had said, it feels so much more organic, and it feels like these two actors have really planned out this scene, and like the directors, like they're going to hit all these beats at the right point.
Yep.
You're going to deliver the dialogue. You're going to emote at a certain point, and in this, it's like you can just edit together and cobble together a scene because you have so many takes, and you had multiple cameras capturing all that, so you can just edit it together, and it's no big deal. It feels just like there's so much less going on in that kind of scene than there is when you can see the two people, or three in this case, in the frame together.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that you can make it that mise en scène. It's just telling the story with what's in the frame.
Yeah.
Instead of stop cutting back and forth, just have them carry out this dialogue in this portion of the narrative, together.
Yeah.
The cutting back and forth it's always disjointed to me. After seeing that film, I'm like, ugh, I hate it. I hate two camera setups.
And so there's a split in higher film theory about what makes a good film. It's the idea of formalism versus realism. Realism is showing things as they are, setting the camera up and allowing things within the frame to do what they're doing. We're not interacting. We're trying to live as we're trying to be as obscure in terms of perspective. We're trying to stay as far out of the action as possible. Whereas formalism is how can we take advantage of what the camera can do to say what we're doing, which is what a two camera setup is doing. We're going to set it up in these ways so we can tell exactly what we want by utilizing what the camera does. And I prefer films like Andrei Tarkovsky, who is much more on the realism side. He just wants to sit back. He wants to be on the other side of a hill watching someone walk across a valley, and that kind of extreme realism. Because when you can make something engaging like that, it just shows that you understand the material that much better. Like you
Right.
understand how you're coming across in such a way that formalism doesn't convey.
I think another good example of that is Lighthouse. Like all the scenes that they have at the dinner table, and it's just them two in the frame, and you just get this great interaction between these two characters. That would be so jarring if it's just swapping back and forth.
Yeah, they do that in some cases, but it's more about like there are longer takes on those individuals when they do talk. They're not cutting back each line like we do a lot of times with a formalistic style like this. I do like that suggestion about the checkmate being here, that it's really actually Roy telling him the moves.
yeah. Because he's a combat dude.
Oh yeah, that is another smart layer.
Yep.
I don't understand why they were just waiting in the,
Yeah, why
Elevator
the
at
elevator
all.
stopped, I don't get that at all. So
or why they were in there in the first place. So that's when they decided to call him.
yeah.
That's very strange.
The
I also
jacket he's wearing. What is going on?
Right. I also don't understand like why we're just in his bedroom.
Yeah.
Like,
That's just what the elevator opens up onto.
yeah.
his bedroom.
My 1,400 candles.
So that's actually one of the things I kind of like about this movie. I like, first of all, there's all this really cool like analog technology. They didn't. I know this is in 2019, but it's still a lot of the technology in this looks kind of like something that existed when they filmed it.
Yeah.
And they don't really try to ramp that up. But then you have like this really cool, like, why would you still need candles?
But they're not candles.
I think it's actually.
Oh, they are? Okay. I thought they were fake candles.
I think it's the opulence. We've talked so much about it's more in 2049, like talking about like real wood. I think the luxuries of the old world are so
desirable.
Yeah, they're desirable
Yeah.
because they're also hard to make anymore because we've exhausted all of the resources. So that's kind of what I think about there. It's like the idea of like a king's court.
Like, yeah, hearkening back to a simpler time, or like when these materials were more available and the only people who can get them are the super wealthy. So I like the idea of like keeping kind of this older look to, especially him. Like it seems like you said, the opulence of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It makes like I like the look of that.
Yeah.
And that they didn't go like hardcore. Like I understand there's limitations for the technology they had while filming this, so they couldn't like put up all kinds of holographic screens and they didn't go buck wild with like the going too far as the technology is. I like the look of it, like especially all the analog stuff. I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
Like the zoom ins. It's like it's not like a fancy fun zoom in. It's just like frame by frame, just slowly clicking forward. Just all that kind of stuff. I think that adds to the look of this.
Yeah. And so then here we have like this conflict between Tyrell and Roy, where he's asking for more life. This is like we're going in a completely different direction than I think what we've been talking about the whole time in terms of symbols and themes. Like it's up to this point, it's all been talking about identity and who is and who isn't human. And now we're trying to talk about like creator and created. Like it's a little bit different now. We're going in a different direction that doesn't feel substantiated by everything else. And again, prodigal son. So here's our second biblical reference. And I don't really think it's warranted.
Ew.
He's so
Sweaty. He
so
just touches
sweaty.
his head. Revel in your time. So weird.
So
Why? Why do they do this?
originally, Tyrell was going to be a replicant in this scene. And the original Dr. Tyrell had passed away 4 years earlier, but to sort of like keep a continuity of like leadership for the company, they had a replicant take his place. And Roy was going to find out like right here that he was a replicant, and then find out that the actual body was kept in like this Egyptian sarcophagus, which again would have kind of added to like kind of that whole like him as like a god, as like one of the pharaoh, like this like, higher being.
Yeah, how the god
creator,
king. Yeah, how then every new pharaoh is the god king of
Right.
Egypt, and it just passes that mantle on. I think that makes more sense.
That would have actually been
Yeah,
really cool.
it would have been really good.
Yeah, especially we were talking about earlier. There's like all this imagery when Decker's doing that.
This I don't understand what's going on here.
Oh yeah.
Like this shot makes no sense. Him going down. I'm guessing this is the elevator.
That's what I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah, he chases JF Sebastian down, and it's implied he kills him, and then he just why did we show that scene? That needs to be cut. It doesn't make any sense. It adds nothing. Just it blows my mind. But yeah, so like we were talking about with the, I think again there it says more than like you have someone set up who is a replicant, and it's another level of creator created, because it's also how do you build identity in replicants. This is the same as humans. Like if they look like human, they talk like they're human, no one can tell the difference, then wouldn't that make them human?
Yeah, it gives more depth to that concept of like, well, when does a replicant stop being a replicant and they're human? Well, if you have a replicant of Dr. Tyrell, who's like running this company for all intents and purposes, being Dr. Tyrell, well, how is he not, essentially human at that point? It would have given more depth to this story, I think, if they kept that. For whatever reason, right before they started filming, like the whole movie, not like that scene especially, that's when they scrapped it. But I guess it was storyboarded. It was fully planned that was going to be a scene in the movie, and then they got rid of it, and I think that totally takes away. I think that would have been a great scene.
That's absolutely why I think why Philip K. Dick liked the original script then, because that makes more sense. Because then you have the idea of your God being created.
Yeah.
And that makes so much more sense with everything else that's going on here, of why there's a possibility that replicants can be more. Really, it's just like replicants wanting to be something, but oh yeah, we can't really do that. We've just made you that way, and you're expendable.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that takes away from this movie a lot by not keeping it kind of the way it was originally scripted. These look like what are those little creatures on Tatooine?
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was just like,
Jawas.
oh, Mando.
Jawas. Oh, I can
Mando
think
just
of
got his
something.
ship scrapped.
Utati.
That's the same thing I got when the guy's like squishing his eyeballs in. I'm like, and then I crushed her face like this.
Oh god.
At the mountain. Like,
That's like the most horrifying scene I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think I like paused and like left for a minute. I'm usually not grossed out, but that screen that Pedro Pascal has, I was like horrified by it. That is a incredibly gruesome scene.
Which is crazy because the same thing just happened here. And I agree. Like there was so much, the build up to it was so much different in Game of Thrones. The shrieking was so much different in Game of Thrones. There was, it's unbelievable how well that was done, even though it was literally the exact same thing.
yeah.
And we talked through that whole thing. We talked about how a different version of that scene would have been so much better.
Yeah.
Because that's so like it's really forgettable. Like that should have been a really pivotal point. And I think if you're not being too critical of this movie, it probably is a pretty pivotal point. But I think it could have been better.
Yeah, and if he was a replicant, then you literally have killed God. You've displaced God. And we already know that. You've said that God can be displaced by a replicant, by remaking Tyrell. So if then you kill the next replicant, then you have taken the next God King mantle.
Yeah.
That says so much more. At least consistent with what we've already established for the world building.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. For all the stuff that they kept in this, you could have removed that and then just make that scene like a minute or two longer where he realizes that it was a replicant. Like, that makes this movie so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish there was another, maybe just one more cut out there.
One more.
The
final cut. I'm
final
serious
cut.
this time, guys. I'm serious. This is the final cut. That should be the title of it. For real, we're done after this one.
Okay, and now we get to, honest to God, the weirdest part of the whole movie. This whole thing goes on. So he's going to find J.F. Sebastian now in his apartment in his building. I mean, what are we at right now? I feel like we still have like 30 minutes left in this film.
Yeah. So,
we're at
yeah.
like 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, we have
Yeah, 20
26. Yeah, so probably 20 minutes left without credits.
I think this scene goes on forever.
Yeah, it does.
Forever. And nothing. It's not even like it's filled with a lot of things. I mean, they try and throw a lot more of the biblical references here, but it's not fulfilling. See, this is not a very, very stylish camera setup. And again, look, they shot this the same day that when they shot the scene with J.F. Sebastian.
One that you liked, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just lazy. They left the camera in the same place. So like, okay, now Harrison, it's your turn. It's your shot. Yeah. That's just, I don't like things like that because it's not represented enough. You're not creating enough perspective about your film. Like, it's not like, show me something different. Like, it's not like they're reusing that shot to say something. They're just doing it for the convention of not having to set up another camera and light again. This is interesting. I do like all of these dolls, though, and all of this.
It certainly sets the scene. It's a really creepy scene.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, it's like you said, it's long and it feels like it's in the service of nothing, so.
Yeah, like, it feels like it's going to say something, but the film starts going in a different direction. Oh, what do you know? There needs to be a kill count episode of this where how many times Harrison Ford
Could
died.
have died. So the gymnast they used in this, apparently they had a woman gymnast that they had rehearsed the scenes with like ad nauseum, and she, when it finally came time to shoot, she was like so nervous and she like couldn't go through with it because like she was like had done it so many times, and so they end up finding like a male gymnast like during like the lunch break, who came in and shot the scene.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so
happened to
good.
her hair.
That's so confusing. Okay, this right here too. Like
Why?
yeah.
Why is any of this happening?
What a shot too.
Yeah, I don't get
And it's
any
just
of
like a
this, dude.
strobe out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like obviously we have all of the lights shining in, but like I wish they kept the same pace that they always had. Like why is it going like this?
This is insane.
Again, this isn't saying anything more. It's just a weird like why did she decide to run down like maybe bloodlust? Is she just crazy? Like it was in again like you were saying in the service of nothing.
Yeah. Just weird to be weird, man.
Yeah.
It's
You'd think
also-
they'd be
it's like-
so concerned
yeah.
about their own self-survival, their survival, like preoccupied with that, they would just absolutely kill him immediately. It wouldn't be nothing stylish. You're just like, I'm so much stronger than you. I'm just going to rip out your heart.
rip off his nose. She literally had his fingers right up
Yeah.
there. That is
Yeah.
that is such a weird. Again, that's this scene. I think, like Jaden said, just weird for the sake of being weird.
And, that's fine, but it doesn't fit with the rest of the movie.
Yeah, she's out of place, I think, compared to the other replicants that come back.
Yeah. And honestly, like, even with Roy, like, I think he's weird and crazy and stuff, but again, like, he's the same as she is, like, in this scene, like, just randomly doing things, running around and screaming, and
Like, is this all just to teach Harrison Ford a lesson? Like, what the fuck is the point of your existence at this point?
yeah.
Yeah.
This is another bit that just feels like it goes on and on and on.
Where did the sand come from on his knuckles?
I don't know, maybe he's...
Why is her tongue out? Like, what the fuck is going on? He's like, let me just push that back in for you.
He, it's like, keep it in your mouth, darling.
I feel like we're bashing this movie a lot. I don't
I
feel
don't
like,
hate this
I feel
movie.
like I fondly remembered this, and now that I'm watching it again, and I'm not saying this needs to be at a breakneck pace, but like Blade Runner 2049 is almost an hour longer than this, and it feels much shorter than this film. To me, I mean, there's just so much to look at, and there's so much going on in that movie. This one is just feels like every scene could have had a minute or two cut out of it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so again, like, comparing to something like Tarkovsky, like, the point is to live in the space. It's meant to be slow. This is something else. It's trying to build tension, but it tries to build tension for so long that it's not believable anymore. We don't experience it the same way.
What the fuck is, like, why is he doing this?
And I'm all for a director having a vision and trying to translate this script how they want to. I just don't love the translation of this. It's like you said, yeah. It takes too long to get to the tension point that now I've already I've lost interest in what's going on in a way. It's like
I do like his acting here. I think is good.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Oh, yeah.
And very
Yeah.
very weird and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Harrison
wish,
Ford,
like-
however, is just like walking around, stumbling, being
no, Rutger Hauer's easily the best part of this film.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like easily.
And then he goes back to her, which also does. You were just there, man. You just pushed her tongue back in her mouth.
This needs to be cut.
Yeah.
Again, like, because this was the same shot, and they just decided to cut
That
it
was
and
added
then
to this
splice it.
other
Yep.
scene that makes no sense. He was just chasing after Harrison Ford in another part of the house.
Well, but he said he was going to give Harrison Ford a head start. but
Hey,
it would've
maybe
been-
that's why he had sand on his knuckles earlier, is because he punched through the wall. He just hadn't seen it yet.
right.
It's interesting. Yeah, continuity error.
Oh,
But I
he's
think
been
it would've
spending some
been-
time in the bathroom with some drug dealers. So it looks like. Fuck.
But I think this would have been cooler if you see Harrison Ford running away and then you hear Roy counting down and his countdown gets more distant as he's running. Like that makes
Yeah.
this whole like tension of him running away. That makes for a more exciting scene, I think.
With zero music, too.
Yeah. And that would be a way of you can elongate your scene without it being boring,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that's significantly more
Oof.
terrifying. Again, this is why like all of the 80s film, this is the aesthetic with this idea of like pure formalism, and why I hate all of it is because it's not it's melodramatic because they don't understand how to shoot things correctly, how to shoot things in with camera placement and camera angles that are more subjective. They're just trying to get everything in the frame.
Well, yeah, because they've been working. They've been making profits off the movies that they have been making with these kind of shots. Like, hey, that formula worked. They made money. Let's use that again.
Yeah, like that's the one thing. Like Spielberg probably is one of the ones I can think of that probably defined that style very early on. It's why the tentpole is like,
where did his clothes go?
Why is he not dressed now? You know, I love that he's just kind of running around because it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
We don't need to see it multiple times though. Like, okay, we got the one that's crazy, and like I don't know why he's climbing out of this right now. It's very strange. He could have just gone out the front door.
None of this makes any sense.
I would like to know how the pace of this compares to Alien, because that's another Ridley Scott,
Yeah.
Science fiction, everyone
Yeah.
loves that. So I wonder if
Never seen them.
I wonder if I went back and watched it, if I'd be like, wow, this is really boring.
No, I think Alien would work because that is the point. The point is the whole film is meant to be this long slog of very uncomfortable. We don't know what's around the corner. That's not what this is. This is just a random scene that they decided like, because Alien came out before this, right?
Yeah, 1979.
Yeah. So I think they're like, okay, Ridley Scott knows how to do this, and like let's.
Yeah.
And then he decided like, I'm gonna keep doing this type of thing, and adds it in here. And
I think
it
you're
doesn't make
right. Like
sense.
that would
Why
fit.
is there a fucking mannequin on the floor in the bathroom?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's creepy house, man. But I think you're probably right. That kind of slow, like kind of methodical approach to the scenes would probably fit the tone of Alien better than this.
Mm-hmm. And then here you go. And then here's another biblical reference that's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So
Well, why is he doing that? I don't get any of this at all.
So now it's martyrdom. He's piercing his hand like Jesus was, but he's not a martyr. It's just another symbol that adds to the biblical. Like all he's done is like, I guess he's meant to show that he's relieving pressure in the joints because his hand is clenching, and so he stabbed himself.
That's so goofy. It is so goofy.
Oh my gosh, what is it? That feels like a Doritos commercial. Like where someone like. That sounds like where someone
Like someone opens a bag and then his buddy's
Yeah,
roommate's head
yeah.
busts through the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I smelled nacho cheese.
there's a commercial. Like I just feel like that feels like a Doritos commercial.
Where's the Cool Ranch? You're so right.
Yeah, but so there we have like another biblical reference. Like I just wish that there was like one character, like take Roy Batty, take Rucker Hauer's character, and make him talk in biblical parables like throughout the film. Then you've established that's kind of like the point. You're leading towards something. Whereas like here, it's just like, let's throw another biblical something at this because we want faux depth to our film. And he's howling because he's, I don't know.
More Dorito. You didn't lick the dust off your fingers.
I like that line right there. That was irrational of you because again, like if he is a replicant, he's moved so far beyond being a replicant. I mean, Sam Deckard.
Right.
Being so far beyond it that he's acting like a human, and humans act irrationally. But just fun little thing right there.
He's just watching him struggle.
Feel the rain for a moment and then whoop, duck back in.
So a lot of all this climbing and all the scenes that take place here were with Harrison Ford's stunt double, and Ridley Scott's like, well, he's like wet in this scene, so they just like drenched the stunt double in water before he did this, and he's wearing like the same jacket. And so I guess like the stunt double is like trying his best to like do all these things, but like he's weighed down by this like just water soaked jacket. I guess there's this like jump. Do we miss it? Maybe I didn't.
No, it's about to happen.
Yeah, this
Oh.
jump that takes place, he like almost misses it. I guess he hurt himself pretty bad doing it because he's like, this jacket weighs a ton. Like, it's just because, and I get it. Like, you want to keep some continuity, but like, it change your stunt then, or like maybe lightly spritz the jacket.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to have it soaking wet. So yeah, I guess the stunt double like got hurt pretty bad.
That's crazy. Well, and then there again, we have Rucker Hauer running through the hallway, like, why? Naked. Like, it's just like, it's not really adding anything.
No, why did he take off his clothes? I still don't understand things that are happening.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, okay with that, but, because he's like just going crazy.
It's just
But
weird,
it's like crazy
weird
for
weirdness for no
yeah,
reason.
it's crazy. He's going crazy for craziness' sake.
I wonder if maybe it's supposed to establish that he's getting close to like his 4 years, and so he's starting to deteriorate, and so that's why maybe that's kind of why they're all acting crazy. Yeah, this jump, yeah. He's slams,
that's like Jesus. You know, but honestly, like,
The scene is just so everything that Harrison Ford just did there was so awkward.
Yeah.
but yeah, like,
Pull yourself up.
like I know,
Work on getting up on the building.
but yeah, like the jacket has continuity. I mean, like, there are so many things in film, like generally pool balls are painted tennis balls.
Yeah.
So that they don't make sound. So
Right.
make a jacket
it's
that
always like fake ice. The brown paper bags are made out of plastic and stuff. You know?
Yeah.
And honestly, with the rain falling, I don't even know that I would have noticed if the
No.
jacket wasn't soaking wet. Like,
Yeah.
just the scene is already built up. Why does
He was just
have
holding a
to-
fake dove
oh my
2
God.
seconds ago, and now it's real. Like, what? There was continuity there, huh?
Why and where's the dove even from? Like, what does it even mean? Like, I don't, like, I guess biblical reference, like, peace. I don't know, but he's going to kill him. So, oh, there's the crazy eyes, though. I do
Yeah.
love that. He's perfectly cast.
Yeah, he is. He does a very good job.
This is a great line. It just captures the whole plight of the replicants. I think
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah, but it's also like that's what it is to be human too.
Yeah.
Like, so that's why, because we're all slaves to something in some way, because it's like free will and is still like within a certain set of boundaries. Like, we have so many physical constraints that free will has caveats with how it's defined. So it's not really that profound a statement in the context of like overall what the film has been saying. Because I mean, that's like everybody on Earth is basically like, you know, they're not slaves, but they're clearly not a part of the God creators, like the Tyrell Corporation. They're at the bottom of the barrel.
Well, essentially, everyone on Earth is at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
They
that's what
couldn't
I
leave
mean.
The planet, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why his apartment is so slovenly.
So this last bit of dialogue he has, the night before filming, without telling Ridley Scott, he essentially like cut 90% of these lines out and just kept the parts he liked. And then the very last line he has is just one he created on his own. It said apparently like moved people on the set to tears. Like I love this bit of dialogue here.
Yeah, and finally we get somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like he's acting crazy, but we decided to give him like an actual human moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is his skin turning blue?
Those were his tattoos.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has a few.
I thought it was like the rain hitting it. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
and then
But that makes more sense.
and then the dove. I don't really know. Like, I love biblical references. This is why I love Darren Aronofsky. This film just does it very lazily.
So he dies here, but I guess there's like a brief point where they show on a screen like the date he was made. And so he actually is at this point in the film, he's at like 3 years and 10 months. So he actually had like 2 months more to live. before his actual. So I wonder if maybe it's not like a hard set date. It's just they give him roughly a 4-year.
Yeah.
That makes
thing.
sense.
But I guess that's people had a problem with that. They're like, what the hell? If you look really close for 2 seconds, there's a scene that gives his birth date, or his creation date.
Oh yeah, back on when he's running. Yeah.
So if you added
files,
up, it being November 2019, he should have more time. But I don't think it matters. It would be really fortunate if his time happened to run out right when they needed this film to end.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it not being an exact 4-year date.
and there you go. That are you through? Finished? Very obviously a reference to Jesus' final words on the cross. But Harrison Ford is not a martyr. Again, it's just another martyr reference, another biblical reference. I don't understand. But yeah, so I like that scene. Like if you just take it in a vacuum, Rutger Hauer's little monologue there at the end, his soliloquy, it's amazing. It's great. Where did it come from? There's nothing in his character that suggests that he's not about to kill him. Like even if he's pulling him up, it's suggested that he's doing it menacingly so that he can torture him more.
Yeah.
There's nothing that suggests that he's changing into something better or more human or nice. So
It would have been better if he had that gradual change throughout, and that would be even better because then you'd see him become more human instead of becoming more crazy. To see him become more human,
Yeah.
then you'd really sympathize with the replicants much more in this. I think this really missed out on its opportunity to really kind of tell that story of basically when do you achieve sentience, and at that point are you on the same level as a human being, and this kind of missed out on that a lot because they have him act absolutely bonkers in this film instead of edging closer to what humanity is.
Yeah, okay. And that, I just haven't written my ideas down. That is exactly everything I have wrong with this problem. They're not getting more human. I mean, I'm sorry. This is every problem I have with this movie. They're not getting more human. So we don't sympathize with them.
Yeah,
so
you're so right. Yeah.
Completely. No, you're so right is what I'm saying.
You were gonna pat me on the back.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, we're not moving anywhere. It's all in service of this movie being a hit job for Sam Deckard. That's all he's doing is cleaning up the streets, and they have to look bad in order for him to kill them in cold blood.
Yeah,
because he's the protagonist, even though he's a terrible protagonist.
He's a raper.
Yeah, this film is
I
so
don't really sympathize with him either. Yeah.
Nope.
Exactly. All of this. Oh yeah, but he loves Rachel. Wake up, it's time. I have needs.
That's the thing. It's but he's not. It's not like he got to the end and he let Roy go or whatever. He chose to turn away from his Blade Runner way. He's not redeemed at the end of this movie either. So he's not there's nothing compelling really about any of these characters. There's no satisfying arc to the end of what's going on in this film. You know?
And it hardly feels like there's an arc at all. It's just different weird points that and this is why maybe maybe in the theatrical cut these characters are a little bit different.
They had over 4 hours of film to work with, so I imagine there is some way you can cobble this movie together to make you care more about these characters. I think.
I absolutely.
I care mostly about Roy just because I just love the acting
Performance
behind
performance
it. Yeah,
was amazing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. I don't get this, and then here we have another origami thing.
it's a unicorn. It's because Harrison Ford is a unicorn because he's a replicant who can live longer.
I suppose that's.
I'm just kidding.
I
I
will-
just made that up right now.
That honestly makes the most sense out of
There's
anything else in
unicorns
this
all over the
movie.
place. But really, Rachel's a unicorn.
Why did we need a memory echo of him saying that?
That happened 4 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's not even 4 minutes ago. And it's over.
What the
Why?
fuck? It just cuts off right there. Bang, done.
I just don't understand. I can understand why this movie might be a classic in the same way that Star Wars is an amazing, because it's not. It's awful. It's garbage. But it's it's set a certain aesthetic that that film started to live up to. It became the standard that things were oh, this is what we expect. It looks so cool.
I'm sure
we're gonna get wider
this
audiences.
is full of technical achievements for its time.
Yeah.
It looks. I mean, for when it came out, this must have really blown people away. And I hate that rewatching it. It's you can notice how dated it is, but I still like
You gotta
appreciate.
try- you
I still
gotta-
appreciate what I'm seeing.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
try and like put that out of.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
understanding the context of when you're watching this. I think helps you enjoy this film more.
Yeah,
You know?
I still enjoy the movie. I like this.
I don't know if this is one I throw on, like, because again, I hadn't seen this movie in a long time.
have
So
n-
we're like,
I don't know if I've ever seen this movie.
Oh, really?
For the other day, yeah.
yeah,
but-
I don't know if this is going to make a part of my regular rotation.
No,
whereas
well-
like Blade Runner 2049 is a movie I watch a couple times a year. Like
Really?
I love that film. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
It's better than this.
that's significantly.
yeah, yeah.
In every way.
Yeah.
I mean, so how many electric sheep do we give it?
Thank you. I was going to say that.
Are you?
Thank you.
Oh my god!
I'm very pleased.
That's why we do a
what's
podcast
the Pokemon that's in the electric sheep?
Are you talking
Mareep?
about Mareep? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I'm looking at. So,
We'll put it. Yeah, we'll put it at like reaps.
I think like I said, I think that the technical aspects of this film.
I don't want to feel like, because I feel like in my Sweet Girl one I might maybe changed my number because you said something. I'm gonna write mine down now
Okay.
so that I have
but
it in my mind.
I think for the technical achievements of this film, Howard, Rucker, Howard in this is awesome. I think this has a cool aesthetic to it. For those reasons, I think I pumped this movie up. But yeah, I think that this film missed out on a lot of like asking and answering important questions of like humanity and sentience and
Yeah.
the value of those. And I wish it would have dove deeper into those. And it's just, this movie feels much longer than an hour and 50 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And that's part of my problem with it as well. But I still think I can appreciate it is kind of a classic. So I put this at like 5 out of 10.
yeah.
Yeah.
I give it like a 5.4.
Okay.
I like it. There's definitely, I mean, without the rape scene, this is like a 6-7
yeah.
for me.
How
yeah.
awkward is that?
Yeah.
I
There's
read-
good
yeah.
performances in this movie.
I read before that that was originally written and even shot as a much more like loving
Yeah.
sex scene.
Like should have been. So
And so I have no idea why you removed that and it changed it to this much more abrasive. Like you said, it's kind of it's very
it's very rapey.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of a more eloquent way to put it. Like
Yeah.
this forced kind of coercion into this situation. I don't really like it.
It's rape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's good points in this movie. I think it does a lot of weird things just for the sake of being weird, which I'm not a fan of. Do weird things for the sake of art, not for the sake of, oh, let's make my movie stand out. It'll be like, oh, this movie's fucking weird. It's got to be good, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that they missed the mark on a lot of stuff. The story they could have done. I mean, there's a home run here. It's a softball pitch, like you were saying. Like humanity and the aspects of that could have been nailed here, and it wasn't.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah, and they removed scenes that would have really pushed that narrative forward. So it's just weird to me, like why do that? You know?
Yeah. And so for me, like, I just feel like I wouldn't call it juvenile. I would just call it the camera work. Like a lot of the cinematography is so simplistic that it doesn't feel like they have like a mind for it. They don't know what they've made. They don't know what they're trying to go with their symbols, with their music, with their character development. All of it is wonky beyond belief. Like it's so weird to me looking back, like why this is a classic, because even if you were to look at this film like on the merits of story, it's terrible. It's really not very good. But there's a lot of things I appreciate. I mean, they clearly have everything mapped out. Like they have the all of the street scenes with all of the people moving. Those scenes are so hard to shoot. There's a lot of interesting things there. It brings up some ideas, but ultimately I'm going to give it a 5.8. It's
We're all hovering around the same thing.
yeah. It's just not. It's really not as good. Even if I saw it in 1986, I just don't think. I feel like this would be like looking at one of the new Star Wars. Like, wow, an amazing Marvel for the time, but it's terrible.
Yeah.
yeah.
I kind of get that.
So
right,
that's where I am. I'm 5.8 Mareep.
Cool. Yeah, with that, I think we're wrapping this one up. Thanks for joining us on Three Boys, One Couch. And hope you enjoyed that and join us again for more commentaries in the future. I'm your host, Connor. I have my co-host, Jaden.
E.
And former guest, Calvin.
Thanks for having me back.
Yep, thank you for listening.